It's time, my friends, for another Devo tip on Ezekiel Unfiltered, chapters 21 through 32. When we hear the word judgment, we often think, oh, this can't be good. Ezekiel 21 through 32 is one huge chunk of negativity, and most skip over it. Let's not. In chapter 21, Ezekiel sets the tone. This is what the Lord says: things shall not remain as they are. Exalt that which is low, and bring low that which is exalted. The Hebrew words that we translate as judgment indicates a sifting out to right the wrongs. As Leon Morris puts it, God's judgments are his power directed toward right ends. So God's judgment has a redemptive element to it. When God sifts out, it is not a return to the status quo. In Ezekiel 22 through 32, Ezekiel pronounces judgment on Israel and the nations surrounding it. What's important here is that every nation, not just Israel, was judged by the same standard: God's law. God's law is universal. That is, it's universally applied as the basis of judgment. So what was going on in Ezekiel's day? Father and mother are treated with contempt. The sojourner suffers extortion. The fatherless and the widow are wronged. People were acting revengefully and cheering the demise of others while exploiting them. They proudly imposed their terror on everyone. They even exchanged human beings for merchandise. In the middle of this chunk of negativity, Ezekiel proclaims an odd judgment on a perfect, beautiful guardian cherub that was in Eden, the garden of God, of all places. When you think about it, of the three characters who appear in Genesis 2 and 3, the ancient serpent is the only one who could possibly be identified as one adorned with every precious gem imaginable. After all, Adam and Eve were naked. So Ezekiel says this in chapter 28. He addresses the ancient serpent and he says, "You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created until unrighteousness was found in you, and you were filled with violence." But why does Ezekiel allude to Satan in the context of judging the nations? Likely to give him some credit for all the misery in the world. I'll quote from Isaiah 14 here, because Isaiah talks about the ancient serpent as well. "Can this be the one who terrorized earth and its kingdoms, turned earth into a moonscape, wasted its cities, shut up his prisoners to a living death?" Because God created the world, he has the right to issue judgments to rescue it. God's judgments are actually merciful interventions to impede evil until the final judgment when Christ returns to set all things right. In his book, Exclusion and Embrace, Miroslav Volf suggests that people take revenge on others not because they believe in God's judgment, but because they don't. If there is no divine judgment, we have nowhere to go with the pain of injustice. We are left to suffering in silence or taking matters into our own hands. Either one can't be good. We must entrust ourselves to God, who has fixed a day on which he will judge the world in righteousness by a man whom he has appointed, and that includes the devil and his minions. That's Acts 17, verse 31. We are in history's flight path. We are mid-flight in a stream of ongoing events, past, present, and future, that are pushing history toward its final goal, the new heavens and the new earth. So, although judgment may seem negative, God is directing history toward right ends.